Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Will.
Stop.
And it's Griff.
In today's episode, we got Red Sox talk, trade deadline, and Inside the Five top 5 NFL helmets of all time. What do we say, boys?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Five. Long overdue, but we are back on our new camera, in person, once again. But since we've gotten this camera, I think the Sox have only won one game, guys. And that game came at the beginning of this Cleveland Guardians series. We are 1 for our last 6, and that's all post All-Star break. Stav, straight up, do we blow it all up?
To be honest, as much as I want to, Heim Bloom's recent comments make me think that we're just not, and we're going to try and make the postseason. At least that's what I hope. What are we? We're 4.5 games out of a playoff spot. Realistically speaking, that's not awful. If you take away the scores of the last few games, and which is kind of hard to do, but if you take away the scores, if you kind of just say, okay, you're 4.5 games out of a playoff spot, do you buy or do you sell at the deadline? I say that you buy, especially when you're the team as the Boston Red Sox. I just think that you buy. And he said that he's not going to trade Xander, so you got to buy. You can't sell. Especially if you're not thinking of trading Xander, you have to buy. You have to push for a postseason spot. Because you have to think, all right, the Orioles are very hot right now. Most likely they're going to collapse. And then you just have the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the Rays. I think you are more talented than the Mariners and the Blue Jays. The Mariners and the Rays. I think you have more talent. I just think you need to fill the holes that are necessary. But that should have been addressed in the offseason. We can talk about that all day. But I think that they do buy at the deadline. Well, what do you think?
Well, like you said, with the recent news of us not interested in trading Xander, which I kind of figured that was the vibe to begin with. But, I mean, honestly, I have no idea what anyone's thinking in that front office at all. So now that we know that he's not leaving, we're not selling. So we need to buy heavily. We need a starting pitcher. We need to find someone in the bullpen, and I think that's really all we really need to focus on is just pitching. I think at the end of the day, I mean, the bats are going to come when the bats are going to come. I know we can say that for as many games, and we could say that until the end of the season, and we could not make the playoffs. But I'd rather have that be the saying than we post up runs and still lose a game because we blow it.
Yeah, and it's not only that, but we have, tons and tons of guys that aren't playing right now. And some pretty noticeable holes in our lineup when it comes to Devers and Story. And, let alone Chris Sale, who I don't think is ever going to play again. But, looking at this depth chart, you guys can see there's a whole lot of IL. There's a lot of red on this whole depth chart. And it's leading to games like we've seen tonight where we need Bobby Dalbec to play third base or Jeter Downs to play third base, who hasn't played third base since he was 12 years old. We just have such inconsistency in all aspects of our team that it's come to the point where we're kind of in a standstill. The trade deadline is next Tuesday, and we really don't know what to do because we haven't seen Kike in months.
I feel like we haven't seen Kike since the beginning of the season.
We haven't seen him in forever.
I know.
And he started off on the 10-day IL, but then that kept progressing to the 60, eventually to the 60. I don't think he's going to play for the rest of the year. I don't think that he should play for the rest of the year, but his absence is missed. You can clearly see, because Jarren Duran's not a center fielder. We kind of know that. After this whole month of baseball, we can see that he's not an MLB center fielder. Kike Hernandez, as much as we kind of talked down on him in the beginning of the year because he had his hitting woes, he was fine in the field. His defense is very underrated, and we miss that right now. And you want to talk about defensive woes. With Franchi Cordero, I saw Jared Carrabis tweet this. I don't know how true this is. He had as many errors tonight as hits he had all month. So he had 3 errors tonight, the night of this recording. Franchi Cordero is not a major league first baseman. I think that priority A1 is to get a first baseman at the deadline, as we've been saying for the past month and a half or so.
Yeah,
so it is time. I think that Josh Bell should be their main priority. But if not, are they just going to randomly call up Tristan Casas at this point, for the end of the year when they shouldn't call him up because he's probably not ready?
He's back.
He's back now. Yeah, he's back now. But like, I don't know. It's like, what direction are you gonna go in? It's such a question mark because, like I said, if you take away like this bad stretch, you would consider this team right now to be a buyer at the deadline to make a push for the postseason. So I don't know. It's so disappointing. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the Blue Jays series yet, and I don't really want to talk about that. If I'm being honest.
I was going to say, how do we feel if hypothetically we keep our same like batters in position right now, and we buy for Luis Castillo? How do we feel about the team having Luis Castillo?
I think it'd be great, but I just think that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it could potentially be enough if the bats get hot to maybe find a wild card spot. But I mean, if we're talking about a fully healthy team with Luis Castillo, I mean, I still think you need a move in the bullpen, and we need another bat because right now, all of our bats that at least I like to see in our lineup are gone, and Xander's really the only one I trust, and I feel like he's not even playing that good either. I don't like the way JD is playing because as much as I do love his on-base percentage and the way that he hits for contact, that's not really why he's on the team. That's not why he's in our everyday DH. Like, he's here to slug. He's not doing that at all this season. He's really playing for average, which is, at this point, like, every single player on the Red Sox should be hitting for average, but we're seeing a lack of production in almost every category imaginable for hitting in this past month span.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the recent scores. The last week, lost 28-5, lost 4-1, lost 8-4, win 3-1, lost 8-3, lost 7-6. We haven't let up in a loss less than 4 runs. Like, we lost 4-1 on Saturday, the 23rd. That was a Cutter Crawford. So, I mean, actually, as negative as this Red Sox team right now, I kind of want to shine some light on Cutter Crawford, a guy who no one really thought could pitch at the big league level. In his last few starts, he's actually been pitching well. Like, you can't blame him for their losses. And he actually pitched in a win against the Yankees a few weeks back. But I don't mind Cutter Crawford right now. All things considered, if we want to be somewhat optimistic, he's probably a guy who, if you're buying at the deadline, his name has risen value. Like, hypothetically, for a guy like Luis Castillo, you could put a package, Cutter Crawford, this guy, whoever in a pick, and it's more appealing because he has proven himself in the big leagues in a way recently, and he's young.
Yeah, and he has another start tomorrow night at the time of this recording. We're recording this on Wednesday. He has another start on Thursday. I feel like that might be a big one if we can get him a solid 7. If we can get him 7 innings deep, I can almost guarantee he's going to be a part of the trade for more of an established guy in this league. I just really think that when it comes to this Boston Red Sox team, we have our young pieces, but we're still in win-now mode. As bad as we are right now, we just dropped over 500 today, right? One game below 500 now.
And at home, too. We're 24 and 25 at home.
Which is very embarrassing when it comes to, just this team in general. And it's come just from the inconsistency of our lineup. We're not putting out the same lineup every day because we can't with injuries. And we don't really know what we're going to see tomorrow. And we've kind of been waiting to go on this run all season. We saw a little glimpse of it, and then we fell back apart. And we just really, at all aspects of this team, we are really struggling. And it's not just because of injuries, but injuries are playing a very big part.
Well, the injuries are biting us at the worst possible time. As soon as we had something going, Sale comes back, hand. Trevor Story gets hurt at an awkward period of time. Was that around the 4th of July?
Mm-hmm.
And
a
little bit before. So we're in quite a predicament, especially around the trade deadline. We don't know what. We know what we need, but we don't know how to really acquire it because we're just stuck in a hole with injuries. We have young guys playing when they probably shouldn't.
Yep.
And that's just it's honestly, we literally started the season high expectations, and we've created a recipe for disaster since day one.
Well, yeah, and what we've said, the moves that they have to make are moves that you need to make in the offseason. You can't make all these moves at the trade deadline. So that's what, like, optimistic me wants them to be buyers. That I want them to make these moves, and I want them to make a push to the postseason because it's reachable. If you make some moves, you have the talent once everyone's healthy to make a run at the postseason. It's just you haven't been healthy, and a lot of the holes are gaping holes. Like, first base is a big position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's think of past GMs who acquired talent at first base to, like, fill that gap or bridge. Like, we got Mike Napoli in 2013. We got Hanley Ramirez, who it didn't pan out, but we ended up getting Steve Pearce, who ended up winning World Series MVP. So those are three guys who can play first base that past GMs have gotten. And Chaim Bloom hasn't made a move at first base his entire time as a Red Sox GM. His only move is to call up Bobby Dahlbeck and move Franchi Cordero to first. But he got Kyle Schwarber. He didn't intend for him to play first base right away. I don't know what his intent, maybe DH and like platoon with JP at the time. But then Alex Cora moved him to first. That wasn't a move from Chaim Bloom, and it still didn't necessarily work out. Kyle Schwarber wasn't a great first baseman in the playoffs, but there are first basemen on the block.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
you can make a move for a low price because we know the Nationals are selling. We know they are 100% selling at this deadline. Whether Juan Soto is a guy who gets moved or not, Josh Bell is probably going to get moved as well, and he's a guy who would fit perfectly in this Red Sox line.
I think it's guaranteed that Josh Bell moves. I actually think that's like 100%. Like, probably one of the first things we see come trade deadline.
And I feel like a large part of the reasoning why we should also make a move is the fact that we have the capital to do it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very good time to sell a few of our players for upgrades. I feel like when it comes to looking at this squad, really the only people that I don't want to see go at this point are Verdugo, Bogarts, Devers, obviously those two, and I mean maybe a couple of pitchers, but like other than that, I really like. I mean Story obviously too, but like other than that, I don't see anyone that I would be super duper upset with selling. As long as it's for the right price.
New York Yankees finalized a deal to acquire Andrew Benintendi from the Kansas City Royals.
Shut up.
Jeff Passan 9 minutes ago.
That was like pretty much like the biggest talk like for Yankees acquisition. Other than
That hurts.
Other than like the miracle Soto trade that they were talking about.
That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah, that's tough. Wow.
So that's the first chip to fall. That's the first chip to fall of this trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean that's I'd say the biggest move so far.
That also probably puts the Yankees out of contention for Soto.
Yes, that means they made their move to go get a little piece in the outfield, and they're not going to go make a big splash with Gallo because now, I mean, that outfield's set.
Yeah,
that outfield's more than set, and I mean, it's a good pickup by the Yankees.
The Yankees just got swept and decided to get rid of Joey Gallo.
Is that official that he's gone? I feel like it's okay.
Or no. Or, I don't know about Joey Gallo, but I'm just saying Joey Gallo really had a bad year.
Yeah.
Or bad. Yeah, he's had a bad year, but he had a really bad series against the Mets, and I think that's kind of like the final straw.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up buying him out or something like that. But,
yeah, I mean, so that's a bit. I mean, that's someone that we saw was definitely. The Royals were definitely shopping him for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a little package for him in terms of some farm league players as well. That's a good move by the Yanks. I mean, they're definitely going to be. They're definitely going to be.
He's an all-star this year.
Exactly, and they're definitely going to be buyers come this next span of however many days they have, 6 days. I think they're going to go out and get someone in the bullpen once again. And, I mean, yeah, the Yankees are going to be ready for, this nice little stretch of time, and they're still going to find a way to lose it in the ALDS or the ALCS. Like, this is just what they do all the time. I don't know why, but every single time I think of the Yankees, I just really, you can't trust them when it comes to the postseason. And I think that adding someone that's won a World Series can help a little bit, but Benny's still. I mean, he's not. I wouldn't classify him as like an old savvy vet. Like Benintendi is young,
I was
and
gonna say
he's someone that's going to provide a very good spot. I mean, whether he bats in the 6 hole, they might even have him in the 7 hole because when it comes to that lineup, I mean, they're insane. They almost have like an all-star at every position at this point, and I mean, they're going to be dangerous, straight up. Like as much as we hate the Yankees and hate to talk about them, they're going to be very, very dangerous with the move that they just made.
so, but that move it kind of settles. It's pretty much win or bust for them this year.
They traded 3 people that I don't know.
Yeah, who they trade? You get the
Beck Way, Chandler Champagne, and TJ Sickman. I don't know any of those people. I literally don't know any of these people. So, I mean, I don't know why we didn't go out and get Benny first if he's going to run that cheap.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me.
I mean, in my opinion, we need someone. He played left when he was with us. We could totally use him right.
He can totally play right. We can move JBJ to center.
Exactly.
Like, but the thing is, they probably don't want too many lefties in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I actually saw a rumor that the Red Sox are hearing offers for JD Martinez, regardless if they're buying or selling. Like, but that's confusing to me. Like, what pieces could you acquire if you're buying in return for JD Martinez? Like, no one's gonna trade
Like a crazy piece. You're right, but
because, like, hypothetically, my thought process right now is the Reds have Luis Castillo, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want young prospects in return and a guy who's young and ready now.
Yep.
JD Martinez is old on an expiring contract. What team who's selling would acquire JD Martinez? You know what I mean? Only a team that was buying, and most likely you're not gonna. Yeah, but like
that's like a stretch, but like.
But like the A's aren't buying either. Like, why would I'm just thinking like hypothetically I'm selling, right? Why would I want to acquire JD Martinez as the main piece when I know he's gonna end up leaving and I'm not gonna do anything with the remainder of that? I'm just giving up my piece that I'm selling for a half a year of JD Martinez. Like, you know what I'm saying when I say this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be a team that is going to want more than just JD, and it's going to have to be one of those trades where it's a package for a package, right? So I would guess if we're going to go with the Reds in this situation, we get Castillo, we maybe get a farm guy or two, and we give them someone like a JD and then a younger player in the field that is either in AAA or it has been up and down between Fenway and the Woo Sox. I think if we do sell him, it's not just going to be him straight up because you're right. Nobody that's selling is going to want a 34-year-old DH that can't run faster than like your average 10-year-old female. Like he's really not anything special when it comes to fielding. Obviously, he can get on base. I really don't like the way he's playing this year. He's not playing the style that he's like kind of on this team for. He's getting on base a lot, but he's kind of in this power hitting role. He's not power hitting, so I don't really even know what his value is as of right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a weird spot.
Like yeah, I was gonna say I'm not even sold that the Red Sox are going to make a move at the deadline.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I'm like fully ready to watch. Like deadline comes. First like 5-6 hours, we're gonna see everyone go, and then the Red Sox are gonna make like some very minor move that does pretty much nothing, and then that's the deadline. Like I'm fully ready to be completely disappointed.
Well, and also like, I'm trying to think logistically. If I'm like the Nationals or whatever, and I deal Juan Soto, I'm gonna get my boatload of prospects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need a temporary solution in right field. You get JD Martinez with intention of putting him in right, like that. You know what I mean? But like,
I can't picture a single MLB team that wants to put JD Martinez in the outfield.
I know, like I'm
honestly, it would be the Nationals, like, or like the Reds, like just like for fun, like literally if they're just so bad, like what?
I could maybe see the Nationals. I just really can't see the Reds taking him especially putting
probably
him in
not
right
for
field
Luis
because
Castillo.
I feel like they'd rather put a AAA guy that's
Yeah.
like 25, 26 out there for the rest of the year than, I mean, because like you said, what does he have? Maximum 2 years left on his deal. I think he only has one, right?
He's done after this year.
Yeah, so, I mean, no matter where he goes, if they're not a team that's above 500, he's leaving.
Yeah.
Because it's not like he has that much time left to stay
He'll
with the
end
team
up in the
and build around.
Dodgers.
Exactly. He'll end up with the Dodgers. He'll end up with a team that going into a year has a chance to be like, oh, this is our year. He's going to be one of those guys, and I honestly don't think he's going to see a role like he's used to seeing with the Red Sox. He's not going to be relied on to be a 3 or a 4 anymore. I really think he's going to fall down to 5, 6, and then in a couple of years he's going to keep falling down. And he's going to be an on-base guy that, I mean, he can hit to all areas of the field. He's going to lose a little bit of slugging, and he's going to be very slow, but he's going to play till he's like 40 years old. Like, I really think he has a little bit of time, and I think that he just needs to find his spot on a very successful team where he can DH almost every night. And, I mean, just get on base in the lower leverage spots in a lineup and, I mean, see where he can go from there. He's not going to be a guy that's going to go out and win you a World Series MVP. That's just the way that I see it.
I know, and I think we should kind of move on from the Red Sox and just talk about MLB trade deadline approaching anyways. Where do we think Juan Soto... All right, I'm going to ask 2 questions right now. Is Juan Soto going to get dealt at the deadline? Great.
I can't see it. With the package that's kind of being demanded from Washington, I feel like it's almost so unrealistic to the point that it just can't happen.
Well, I'm gonna agree, but also like disagree, for the reason that if he does get moved, the outcome will stay the same. He won't be starting. Like the rest of his deal expires, he's a free agent. He's gonna just leave wherever he gets traded. You have to think that probably a pretty mid-tier organization with a lot of prospects that are on the come up are gonna probably trade for Soto. But hopefully, like it's gonna be like a low-level playoff team, probably wild card if they have the spots for it. And like, let's make a push. Like, and like, hopefully he resigns if he plays good. If not, the same outcome's gonna happen with the Nationals. He's just gonna sign a free agent.
So, my whole thing about it is that the Nationals should trade him right now. Because if Juan Soto, you have him for a year and a half. You have him for the rest of this year. You have him all next year. Then he gets free agency. So you get the most amount of return right now. Because once this season and the offseason hits, you don't have the half the season. You only have 1 season with Juan Soto, which dwindles down the prospects. And then next year's trade deadline, half the season of Juan Soto, you're going to get jacked for that. Mm-hmm. So, like, they should trade him now because right now you can get the most return on your investment.
Most definitely. And it's like, the reason why we haven't seen a trade go through is because of the fact that after this point, or after this year, he could totally just re-sign with a different team. So a team could have him for half a year, give up so much cap, like you said, Will, give up so much of their farm system, like their whole organization, just to potentially lose them after a year. But if they don't lose them, then they're going to also give up all of this, all of these players, all of these farm guys, all of these big leaguers, and keep him, but sign him to an insane deal off of only having him for half the season. So it's kind of like, it's a big risk coming from other teams to go out and get someone of this stature because you really don't know what the risk and the reward of it all is. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like wherever he and if he like Stav said, I feel like he should get dealt because he's selling very, very high right now. And in my opinion, if they go and sell him now, 1 or 2 things can happen. They're going to get a package that they want, and the same outcome of Juan Soto trying to leave the Nationals and just go somewhere else for free agency will happen with the team that he gets dealt to, unless a big team steps in and puts down a trade that literally they can't deny, or they're going to be like, well, if we don't do anything now, we're not going to get anything ever. They're going to have to take their best offer, and it's probably not going to be what they want at all.
Exactly.
And it's going to be probably, like, we're going to look at the trade and, like, how did he go for, like, almost so little compared to, like, what we're looking at right now. Like, all I see, because right now, obviously, it was the Yankees that were in the run for him. They have the most, like, genuine prospects to give up. I mean, I think we do too, but like realistically, we're not going to do that. But they literally had like a list of like 5, 6 guys that were going to go for Juan Soto, and I was like, that's like ridiculous. Like I would like if I was the Nationals, I would probably like accept that trade if that was on the table. But you also have to think like realistically, what is he gonna want to do? Like as a team trading for him. Like if you're like I said, if you're one of those like mid-level teams that kind of has enough cap or enough area to give up for Juan Soto, you have to also take back and be like, is he going to resign with us? Is he going to want to do this with us?
I think the MLB like trade rumor like type things are different than other sports because you can negotiate a contract still while he's on another team if you're going to trade for him. Like look at Mookie Betts going to the Dodgers. Like there's no way the Dodgers gave up what they did for Mookie. I mean, in hindsight, they got a steal for fucking Mookie Betts, but that they had a contract in the works, like when they were trading for him. And like Matt Olson recently just got traded to the Braves and then signed an extension. It's just like one of those things where if
that's what would have to happen.
Yeah. But I feel like for Soto, I feel like obviously the Nationals suck. Like, and he's just fed up with playing with literally just like almost pretty much minor leaguers at this point.
Yeah.
And if you have to look at where he's gonna go, he's gonna obviously weigh in like, is this team gonna win the World Series? Like with me and with who we have and who we could possibly have, he has to look at it all because this is literally like his big contract. Like he literally has so much to weigh out that like even if something is talked, like I feel like the money I feel like he's not fully in for the money, to be honest.
I mean, obviously, he just turned down $400.
Yeah, like clearly,
like he wants to go. He wants to go win and make a lot of money, and he's not going to win if he's in Washington because, I mean, the way that they built their lineup, it's like they had a shot, and now they're kind of just signing anybody that they can, and there's clearly no form of connection between the players in that locker room, and that's why he's not taking $440 million. But I mean, when it comes to someone at the stature of Juan Soto in his youth, like he could be traded to a large market and become a superstar, and that's exactly what he wants to do. So, if it's going to be the Mets, then it might be the Mets, even though they're in the same division. It might be a little difficult. Exactly, I think he'll stay if he's with the Mets. I saw the Dodgers just because they have more than enough of a package to give them. And then the Yankees, who are now out of it, I saw a couple of teams. I can't remember the other names of the teams, but there was a few teams that weren't contenders. I just really think he's going to go to somewhere that's going to be a very good squad already, and he's just going to put them over the top. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm fully prepared wherever he goes. He's going to put them over the top and be the best player on the team. Like, it's literally what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I mean, Juan Soto's a generational talent, but there is a lot of talent just being like floated out in the market. Like we had recent news of Tarek Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigers are willing to trade him. I don't understand that necessarily either. Isn't he their number one prospect in their system?
Yes. Yeah. He's very good.
What are they trying to? What direction are the Tigers trying to go in? Because
you were going to try to sell everyone. They didn't care who. They said everyone's on the block.
Yeah, they said everyone's on the block. This offseason, you go and get Eduardo Rodriguez. You go and get Javier Baez. You go and call up Tariq Skubal. They made a few more moves, too, that I'm just blanking on right now. But they put in an effort to be competitive this year. It hasn't worked, but now you just blow it up after half of the season? Like, and they're in the AL Central. That division's awful.
Right.
Like, it's not like they're going to be out of contention next year. Next year, very well, they could just be the first place team. And especially when you have your best pitcher as a young prospect, why would you just go and get rid of him? I don't understand the philosophy behind that. I mean, we all sit here and shit on Chaim Bloom. Imagine if this was like us.
Yeah, right.
Like, imagine
being like Tarek Skubal and Spencer Torkelson are available for trade.
Yeah.
Spencer Torkelson just got called up and is like their everyday first baseman.
I know.
He's like good. He's like not like bad at all. Like he's probably doing enough for him at like being a rookie. Like I can't imagine what he would be like in 5 years.
Yeah, like people have to. I feel like the expectation for MLB rookies is way too high. Like, baseball is probably the hardest sport to adjust in. Like, Torkelson right now is batting 200, has 5 home runs, 21 RBIs. Like, that's not great, but he's a rookie. He's learning. You have to give these guys time to develop. No one's going to step in their rookie year, bat 300 with 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. That's impossible. It's never happened in the 200 years of baseball.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to step in and literally be like the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Like that's not awesome, but also you have to think like that's not even like horrible. Like actually, I don't even think he plays literally every day anymore. He started off every day, but I think there's like they have someone else that plays as well. I don't know what they do on that team.
Right.
That team makes no sense to me.
Another team that has never made sense to me when it comes to trade deadlines, and they do this all the time, is the Chicago Cubs. They give up. I mean, right now they're looking to send Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ somewhere else. There's been a few different names as well when it comes to their starters and a few bullpen guys. It just seems like when a player hits the age of like 27 in Chicago, and they're potentially an all-star, or in Wilson Contreras' case, is an all-star, they just sell. I feel like they just want everyone to be below 24 and just have like this team of young guys where they can grow together, but then once it doesn't work out and other people leave, they just sell everybody. The Cubs are a team that, I mean, they could actually potentially do something, not this year. Give them 2 or 3 years with the youth that they have. Wilson Contreras will be a vet by then. Ian Happ, who is already kind of up there but has some more time. It just never makes sense to me. And we saw it. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before that, when they just absolutely cleaned house.
It was last year they cleaned house
on a bunch of guys that were about like 28, 29 years old. Like,
Bryant, Rizzo,
yes.
and Baez.
Yeah,
it almost feels like everything that they're trying to do is like, all right, if these guys aren't going to work out within like 2 years and they're getting like.
I want to interrupt. Can we change our bio on Twitter from Franchi Cordero Fan Club?
Yeah.
Okay, continue with what you were saying.
It seems like after like a couple of years of trying something out, or even like in this case, less than a couple of years of trying something out, they just kind of just sit there and they're like, all right, well, I'd rather have a bunch of young guys that will be possibly good in 5 years from now, and then like if we have a solid squad, we have a solid squad. So like I understand like if that's what they're thinking, but like Wilson Contreras and you have like if I'm any team in the league right now, I'm like, okay, if I don't have a catcher right now, I want Wilson Contreras.
Yeah.
And if like I would love Ian Happ.
And I mean, a big team that I could see Contreras going to would be Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like they could get him for a good price. They wouldn't have to give up any of their big guys, I mean, at all. And, I mean, that's definitely a spot that they need. I feel like he'd fit in very well there, and he'd be very successful. Another team that I saw in talks for him, which kind of confused me, was the Rays. I feel like the Rays are a team that goes out and gets guys that, like, nobody has ever heard of, and they make things happen. So I really don't think that Contreras will end up in Tampa by any means, but I think a great move when it comes to both sides would definitely be Cleveland for someone like Wilson Contreras.
I feel like for the Rays that would be kind of risky given they actually have like really good pitchers right now, and like I know they don't have a solid catcher, but I mean like Wilson Contreras is very, very good. It's just like just to mix up like a new catcher with their rotation. Like I don't really know how well that will play out for them, especially given that their stocks up, the Orioles might fall off. They're sitting pretty.
Yeah, and they're gonna find their way back, and they haven't been that successful over the last month. I think in the last month they've actually had, like the past month, they've had a worse record than the Red Sox, which is very surprising. But I mean, that's a team that needs to make a move, right? Because when it comes to the Rays, you see them as a team that wins in ways that like you could never imagine, right? And they're a team that you expect to go out and pick up maybe a rotational guy, maybe a bat or two. I think 1 or 2 moves from Tampa is going to be very big for them, and I think they're going to go out and do it, and I think they're going to try to make a run at this because coming out of the AL East, you know it's going to be the Yankees, and it's kind of a battle for the 2 spot, and it depends on who's hot over the past 2 weeks, and that's really who's fighting for that. So I really think that Tampa's going to go out and make moves, and I think that they have, I mean, maybe the second best chance out of the AL East. Definitely the Yankees up first. but I kind of like Tampa at number 2 right now, just the way that things
Yeah,
are.
they're constructed for a good rest of the regular season.
Exactly.
And I just kind of I want to talk again about Juan Soto because we're kind of drifting towards talking about no names.
Yeah.
Like after Contreras, Happ, Castillo, there's not really
Rodon, I think is
Rodon's up there, yeah.
Rodon
Yeah.
after like the past couple weeks recently is like up there for trade talks.
I wanna-
don't want him anymore.
if I want to revert it back to Soto with my prediction. I forgot to say this before.
Mhm.
I want him to go to the Padres so goddamn bad. That lineup would be sick when Tatis returns. Imagine a lineup of Fernando, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, like Luke Voigt or Eric Hosmer. That team is dope. Like that team is sick.
And they have flexibility to make moves with their older pieces.
Yeah.
To still be good, and they have rotation.
Like that team can contend in the NL. If they were to get Juan Soto, that team's probably the best, most talented team. Or I want to see him on the Mariners. Him and J Rod would be sick.
Him and J Rod would be awesome. And that's another. The Mariners are such an interesting team. It's like I really can't tell what the Mariners are going to do. Like, are they going to ride out with this squad? Because I feel like every year they have a team that's just good enough to make it into the wild card. Sometimes they find themselves just a few games out, like last year, and didn't make it. And then sometimes I feel like they make the wild card and lose a bad game. Like, I really think that the Mariners should come into this weekend really trying to make some moves when it comes to the depth in the infield. I really just don't think that they're going to be able to lock up the AL West with how the Astros are playing. So, I mean, they need to make a couple moves to sneak into a wild card spot and try to, cause damage from there because they could find themselves in a spot where they could get a very favorable wild card game. So, I really think that they should make a few moves.
And I think that's going to wrap up the MLB Trade Red Sox talk. And let's talk briefly some NFL news that happened. Julio Jones signing with the Bucs on a 1-year deal. He went from being the most washed receiver in the NFL now to saying Tom Brady only needs super teams. It's funny. I don't. He's the wide receiver 3 on that team, most likely, and it's an okay signing. It's pretty cool to see Julio Jones and Tom Brady together.
I mean, yeah, I think this is kind of like a one last push. We saw TB12 come back after retiring, so it's like, why not get everybody you can? You know, I mean, just try to make one last push at it. I don't know, like you said, like, signing Julio Jones is a good signing, but he's not the same Julio Jones that people are going to think he's going to come back and be, especially in a lineup that already has someone like a Mike Evans who's already that big physical receiver. You're going to see Julio line up across from him, and you're going to see Godwin in the slot, and Godwin's going to be the best receiver on that team. And I really don't think it's going to even be close. And Mike Evans is going to have a good year as well. And Julio Jones is definitely going to be the third option. He's just not a Pro Bowler anymore, which, I mean, Julio Jones was one of my favorite wide receivers growing up. And I think it's a great signing, but it's just so funny to see how last year when he signed with the Titans, people were like, oh, that's not even like a big deal. And now he's with the Bucs and everybody's so pissed off. It's like, I really don't think that this is like any super team activities. I think it's a very good wide receiver room. But, I mean, this is like the Rams could have done this as well. You know?
I was going to say, I thought it was a pretty smart signing.
Yeah.
And like wide receiver 3, he's going to be very lethal. At wide receiver 3, it's like, obviously he's not the same Julio Jones, but it's still Julio Jones. They would think Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones. Like, Chris Godwin's going to get a lot of attention. Mike Evans is going to get a lot of attention. And they're like, oh, well, look who's open. It's going to be Julio Jones. Like,
Right.
It's not like you're missing. It's like very good for what they're trying to do, but they also have to develop their offense in the correct way with that size.
We'll have more NFL talk next episode.
Yes.
But let's actually. I want to take that back. We're talking about the NFL still with this IT5 Top 5, the Top 5 helmets. All time, just NFL.
National Football League helmets.
Griff, we'll do this way
right.
from Griff to me and then back. We'll do a snake draft.
All right, sounds good. With the first pick dawned upon me, that makes it quite difficult. And I would, like, you guys definitely have this pick at 1-1, so I'm not going to steal it from you. I'll take something else. I'm going to go classic. I'm going to go from the beginning of time of the regular helmets, which is around the 60s, I'm going to go plain old-fashioned yellow Packers helmet. Just a classic pick. Because I know that both of you want this next one, and if you don't pick it, then if Will doesn't pick it, then I should have picked it. But I feel like it's pretty much.
I was going to respectfully hand it over to Gustav because I know he's itching to pick it.
Okay, then that's fair too.
I was going to go Dallas Cowboys white blue star.
Yep, solid pick. Had that on the list.
Okay, I'm gonna stick in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going the Patriots throwbacks.
Yes.
That's
the pick that I was talking about.
That is, I mean, we
I
all
think that's
have
the
that
greatest
at
helmet of all
1-1.
time.
I think that's fair. I appreciate both of you handing that to me. And I'm going to go probably a shocker to you guys for my first pick in the second round. I'm going to go the Dolphins throwback. With the Dolphin that has the helmet on.
I like to think of it as like the regular Dolphin.
Yeah, like the actual Dolphin.
Not the one that's like insanely muscular.
Yeah.
Just like the regular nice Dolphin. Good pick. That's a good pick.
I'm going really throwback here. I'm wearing the Houston Oilers helmets.
Yep, I had
God,
that.
that was
my
pick.
next pick. That was definitely my next pick. That helmet just paired up with that uniform alone makes it definitely a solid pick. My next one, I'm gonna go Eagles, Kelly Green ones, Randall Cunningham days. And then they just dropped that. They're going to be wearing that per game this season as well, I think. So that's going to be a sight to see. My next one, I might go with one that just dropped, but no. I'm going to go Falcons around the 90s, Dion Sanders, the red helmet.
It's a great pick.
With the black Dirty Bird helmet. Classless pick, and every single time I feel like we talk about anything in the NFL, I always refer to Dion Sanders. So, just the coolest player of all time. So,
we just spoke about the Bucks. I'm going the Creamsicle Bucks.
That's a good pick too.
Those helmets are just so fire. I love those helmets.
Yep. Fun fact, I didn't have it on my list just because I knew somebody else was going to have it on their list.
Okay, so it's my turn with the back-to-back picks.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna go kind of current day with these. The Panthers helmet. I just think
the
it's
gray one.
Yeah, the silver.
Yep.
Obviously, the Black Panther with the blue.
I do. Yep, I do like.
That's a
helmets.
clean color, and like a clean color. Wait, I'm gonna stick with the silver. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yes.
The Raiders.
Classless.
Everyone knows.
Classic, not
Classic.
classless.
Everyone knows the black and the silver.
Yes.
Like that helmet is recognized everywhere. It's a
Mhm.
great helmet. It's
Mm-hmm.
classy, like you said, classic. So yeah, I'm going with the Raiders, or I'm going with Panthers and the Raiders, sticking in the current day.
Exactly. Very solid. Very solid.
I have a tough decision here. I think I'm gonna go Colts, just literally straight up white helmet.
White helmet, blue horseshoe.
They're just like so clean,
Yeah.
classic. Like,
Yeah.
and there's something about that helmet. I don't know what it is. It's very appealing.
It is. It is. It's a very clean helmet. And the royal blue and white combo on any jersey across any sport, in my opinion, is just clean.
It like suits their jerseys like so
Yes.
well too because they have the two blue stripes on
Yes.
their like shoulders. Like it just looks clean.
Everything about it looks good. That's very true. It's a very clean design. Okay, I have two more, and then you each have one more. Okay, I had a debate between whether picking the one that they just dropped or the one that they've
I know
been wearing.
exactly what you're gonna say.
And you know the type of guy I am, so I'm going to go with the one that's been used throughout time, and that is the orange Bengal helmet.
That's a
You
great
know, I
pick.
wanted to go with the white one, but I'm going to let it marinate for at least a season. That orange Bengals helmet has been there since, they started wearing helmets. That is, one of the greatest OG helmets of all time when it comes to design. In my opinion, a perfect helmet, just not a good franchise. So, with my next pick, I'm going to go with a little bias.
Exactly.
I'm going to go with a little bias. You'd think I'd be picking the Seahawks.
I know.
Current.
I fucking knew it.
You'd think I'd be picking their current helmet.
But
I'm actually not the biggest fan of their current blue because I don't like the stripe down the middle. I don't like how it's a faded blue. So I'm kicking it back to the 80s with their gray helmet. with the old Seahawk that was a bit lighter of a blue and a bit lighter of a green. Steve Largent days gray Seahawks helmet. A gray helmet is a solid helmet at all times.
You appreciate it. I literally just looked at him and said he's picking this helmet right here.
Yeah.
I actually.
And there's like this one Photoshop picture that's been around for years since DK got drafted of us wearing a royal blue like 80s throwback jersey with that helmet, and it is, I mean, it's so beautiful. We need to bring it back.
That's a great pick.
My last pick, I'm going Giants with the Giants like literally spelled out on the side.
The dark blue or the light blue? Like the Lawrence Taylor days?
The Lawrence Taylor ones.
Yeah, the dark blue ones?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great pick.
Yes.
All right, so this is my last pick, right?
Yep.
With my last pick, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes.
The gold and the red.
Yes.
It's classic.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of stuck with current ones this time around, and except for my first two picks, actually. But it's just a classic gold. It's just awesome. It looks good, especially like when you think of primetime Sunday night football or like Monday night football specifically for me. I think of the 49ers. I think of those gold helmets in the night. So that's an IT5 Top5.
Also, like never changed ever.
Yeah.
They've been the same.
I like the ones that don't change, and that's why I want to say I do like the Bears helmet. I think it's very just clean.
Yeah.
They just have the logo with the navy. And
I love
another
the Texans helmet, the chrome red.
the chrome red that they
chrome,
just dropped.
yeah,
The new helmets in general.
New helmets? I didn't know those.
Yes, they're red.
so cool.
The new helmets in general, I don't think there's any misses. Now, I do think that there's some helmets that are a lot better than others, but new helmets in the NFL is just
Those are fire.
new helmets in the NFL are amazing. And that's why I wanted to say the white Bengals one because we've been waiting on that for years, and it's going to be beautiful when they wear the all-white jerseys with the white helmet. And then the Rams, like 2016 when they wore their throwback royal blue, and then they had like the royal blue helmets for a couple of years with like the regular Ram, not the new Ram.
I had the old
That was
ones,
awesome.
like the dark blue
Yes.
gold or the dark
Yes.
white ones. I like the dark blue.
I like the dark blue and white ones.
Those
Yes.
ones are clean. I also had the Bills with the red buffalo on it, like just plain white helmet.
They're
red
throwbacks.
buffalo. Yes.
Yeah. But I definitely have to say that Patriots white helmet's the best helmet in football history.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
history.
I'm pretty sure the next jersey I buy is going to be the red Mac Jones one. Mac Jones just kind of ruined my actual Navy one because he had to write his name on it for whatever reason.
Next jersey I buy, gray DK Metcalf, and then the one after that, a blue Bryce Young.
Ooh, I may actually get
when we draft him.
Derwin James, new number switch,
3.
and then Mac Jones because I need a new.
I don't have a single Seahawks jersey of a player on the team. I've bought 5 jerseys in the past 5 years. I don't have a single player.
Devontae Parker switching his number to 1 still.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I was thinking about that, but I don't know if that's like a good jersey. I mean, with Devontae Parker, he's cool. But, like, Mac Jones red is my next one.
I'm going to get a N'Keal Harry Bears jersey.
Yeah, the receiving core of the Bears.
Oh my god, when they post whatever
I need to find that
social
tweet.
media post, I think it was Bleacher Report.
Yes.
They're like, this Bears wide receiver room is
Actually-
going to be scary. And it was like 5 people I've never heard of, N'Keal
Yes.
Harry and
Here-
whatever his name is. That's actually good.
Look at this tweet. That
Well, I mean, I like how
Read
read the name.
N'Keal
Read the
Harry
name.
is the first name on
Yeah,
the list.
all right,
Like
it's-
Darnell Mooney doesn't exist.
N'Keal Harry, Darnell Mooney, Velas Jones
Don't even know who
Jr.,
that is. I don't know who that is.
Aaron Pringle, and Cole Kmet.
That's a tight end. That's
just
literally a tight end.
That's an
Like,
elite receiving core. I don't know what you're talking about.
and they threw in Cole Kmet because they didn't have enough receivers to put on the graphic.
Who is Velas Jones?
I don't know. I literally don't know. I've never heard of him in my life.
All
I
right,
think the best part about this tweet is I'm dead ass praying for Justin Fields, man.
yeah. All right, Velas Jones Jr. He's a rookie. What school did he go to?
He was at USC and then he transferred to Tennessee.
Oh,
And he couldn't handle SoCal.
so
That's a bad
he's
look.
never got.
Oh, he was the one that wore number 1 at Tennessee. He was so good. But he was actually so good this year.
Defined good because he has. Okay.
Just like Tala looks cool in the orange.
Why? All right. So when I search up his stats, the first thing that here's receiving. Kind of ass.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, no.
No, he had his senior year, he had 7. He had a good senior year. 7. He had
Oh, I
eight-
said rushing. Well, that's my
He had
bad.
822 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. 296 yards last year and 3 touchdowns.
That's alright. But like,
279 and 2 touchdowns.
he's not someone that you put on that graphic and really hype up like they're about to be different.
When was
The graphic
he
should
drafted?
They're not.
been
Because
made,
they're
to be
not.
honest.
It's not going to happen. They're gonna stink.
Like, why was that graphic even they sat down in that room and was like, oh, let's make
And it was
a bear
right.
wide receiver.
And it was
right
right
after they traded
After they
Nikhil Harry.
made the move for Nikhil Harry, acting like Nikhil Harry was really what put them over the top.
They drafted him in the 3rd round.
Like
He's the 3rd name on that list. Byron Pringle is more of a name
that's embarrassing.
than Nikhil Harry.
No, like Byron Pringle could return kicks. Byron Pringle would be wide receiver 3 on any other team.
Like a good wide receiver 3.
He might be wide
He's
receiver
just fast.
1 here over Mooney because Mooney never gets love on the Bears.
Mooney's
I'm actually very excited to talk
Mooney's
about.
one of my favorite players.
All right, I
He's,
am
like, really
very excited to talk about football.
Football's back.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
back.
saying we're going to talk about it next week.
Next
because
next
we need some
episode.
more research.
Yeah, next episode we're gonna talk about the MLB trade deadline. We're gonna give a little preview to the listeners right now.
Yeah,
if they've
yeah.
stuck around this long. We'll do MLB trade deadline results. We're gonna be very brief with the MLB next week because
Yeah.
the last few episodes all we talked about.
Unless
was the
all
MLB.
hell breaks loose again like
Yeah.
last year, it will be hopefully good.
Yeah, we'll do like 10 minutes MLB, and then we'll do like an hour and a half.
I
of
know. I
football.
want to talk about football a lot.
Like I literally want to go down every single roster. Like,
I do
that's
too.
serious.
I think we should
Standings predictions.
Standings
predictions and we'll do each division.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
gonna
just
do
do it up.
Two
AFC.
divisions per episode.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
this
That's
is
a good
why.
idea.
So that's what we'll do. So next week, we're going to be doing 2 divisions. We're going to be doing the division that I'm totally just making this up, so you guys are going to have to say yes. Each division that coincides with each other, but the opposites, the AFC and the NFC. Next week, we're going to be starting with the AFC and NFC North.
Great.
The North. The
Solid.
North, yeah, because nobody gives
Yeah,
a heck about the North. So we're going to start with them, and then we're going to tell you guys which divisions we're going to be rolling with next. But I think that's going to wrap up this episode, right?
Yeah, I have nothing to. I mean, next week we'll do IT5 Top 5 favorite NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be an NFL episode.
Non-Super Bowl.
Non-Super Bowl.
Non-Super Bowl. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed. We are glad to be back. New camera. Who this? We will see you guys next week. And peace.
Peace.